Alright, let's talk about this. Because every time you think the world has reached its peak level of crazy, it finds another gear you didn't even know existed. We've been following the developments after the shocking incident at the Turning Point USA event, where a public figure, Charlie Kirk, was targeted. The initial reports were a chaotic mess of eyewitness accounts and grainy cell phone videos. Everyone had a theory, and every theory sounded both completely plausible and utterly insane at the same time. It was a whirlwind of confusion, fear, and let's be honest, a whole lot of political point scoring before the dust had even settled. People were already in their corners, ready to blame their favorite political boogeyman. But now, the fog is starting to clear. And what's emerging is, somehow, even more bizarre than what we first imagined. The new details that have surfaced aren't just filling in the blanks. They're painting a picture that is so much more complicated and frankly, so much more troubling. We're moving past the initial shock, and into the phase where the who and the why start to take shape. And let me tell you, the answers we're getting are not the straightforward, easy-to-digest narrative that anyone was hoping for. It's like ordering a pizza and getting a box full of unassembled IKEA furniture and a live badger. You don't know where to start. Let's get into the details because you genuinely won't believe what's come out. So, who is the person at the center of this storm? The authorities have identified the shooter as 22-year-old Leo Klein. Now, when this happens, everyone immediately rushes to create a profile. You expect to find a long manifesto, a social media feed littered with extremist rants or clear ties to some organized group. You want a simple box to put the person in. Is he a far-left radical, a disillusioned conservative, an anarchist? The media and the public were ready with their pre-written scripts. But with Leo Klein, every detail that emerges just adds another layer of contradiction. According to initial background checks and public records, Leo doesn't fit neatly into any expected category. He was a community college student studying graphic design. He had no significant criminal history to speak of. His public-facing social media profiles were sparse, mostly pictures of hiking trails, indie rock album art, and his cat. There were no rage-filled political tirades, no declarations of allegiance to Antifa or the Proud Boys. He was, by all public accounts, a ghost. But then you dig a little deeper, and it gets weird. Investigators are now looking into his online footprint on obscure forums and encrypted messaging apps. What they're finding is not a coherent ideology, but a chaotic jumble of everything. Sources leaked that Klein was active in forums about radical environmentalism, anti-government sovereign citizen theories, and fringe right-wing conspiracy circles. He wasn't in one echo chamber, he sampled the buffet at the all-you-can-eat Crazyteria. The internet can't decide. This is where the debate is raging right now. Was this a meticulously planned assassination attempt, or a terrifyingly impulsive act of violence? The evidence is pulling everyone in two different directions, and both sides are making compelling arguments. On one hand, you have the fact that Klein was at the event with a weapon. That, for many people, is case closed. You don't accidentally bring a gun to a political rally and spontaneously decide to use it. This camp argues that he had to have had a plan, that he chose his target, and that he went there with a specific violent intent in mind. However, the other side of the argument is gaining traction, and it's a chilling one. Reports from eyewitnesses near Klein before the incident describe him as agitated and disoriented, not calm and calculating. He was reportedly seen arguing with several people in the crowd over minor things, seemingly becoming more and more incensed by the general atmosphere. This narrative suggests that Klein may have brought the weapon for protection or some other misguided reason, and that the pressure cooker environment of the rally pushed him over the edge. Fueling this debate is Klein's digital activity in the hours leading up to the event. Investigators found searches on his devices from the night before, including Charlie Kirk event security, how to bypass metal detectors. But in the same search history they also found queries like, is it legal to open carry in this state? How to de-escalate political arguments? It's a mess of contradictions. As you can imagine, social media has absolutely exploded. The internet is not a place for nuance on a good day, so when a story like this breaks, it becomes a digital war zone. The reactions are pouring in, and they are as divided and as passionate as you would expect. On one side, you have a massive outpouring of support for Charlie Kirk. The hashtag #StandWithCharlie is trending. Prayers, well wishes, furious condemnations of political violence. People are posting images of Kirk. People are posting quotes from his speeches. People are demanding that law enforcement and political leaders take threats against conservatives seriously. It's a powerful display of solidarity from his followers. Then, you have the other side. And look, it's dark out there. While virtually no one is openly celebrating the violence, a significant and vocal group is using this moment to point fingers. Posts are going viral that say things like, "This is what happens when you stoke division." Words have consequences, Charlie. They aren't condoning the shooting, but they are framing it as an inevitable outcome of what they see as Kirk's own inflammatory rhetoric. This has led to vicious back-and-forth arguments, and then there are the conspiracy theories. Within hours, the internet's finest detectives were on the case. Some are claiming it was a false flag operation designed to generate sympathy for conservatives and crack down on dissent. Others are weaving elaborate webs connecting the shooter, Leo Klein, to deep state government agencies. What's most striking is how quickly this real-world tragedy was converted into digital ammunition. Beyond the immediate shock and the online arguments, this incident has shoved a much larger, more uncomfortable conversation into the spotlight. Free speech, political division. The line between heated rhetoric and incitement. It's been a debate full of hypotheticals and talking points. But the Charlie Kirk case has dragged that abstract debate into brutal reality. It's no longer theoretical, it's about the physical safety of people in the public square. This event forces a question. Is our political discourse directly responsible for creating the conditions for this kind of violence? When leaders and commentators use language of war, battle, and enemies, does that give unstable individuals a permission slip to act on those metaphors? The tragic thing is they might both be right, and now, we have a real-life victim and a real-life shooter as Exhibit A in that debate. The emotional impact of this cannot be overstated. It doesn't matter what you think of Charlie Kirk's politics. The sight of a public figure being attacked is jarring for everyone. It taps into a primal fear. It reminds us that violence can shatter the norms of civil society in an instant. This fear isn't partisan. So where do we go from here? That is the billion-dollar question. The investigation into Leo Klein's motives is far from over. One thing is for sure. The story is far from over.